Hi everyone, and welcome to a video. This one is on the CT-S1000V, but particularly looking at this box that is called a pedal controller made by MIDI Solutions. I've made a few videos about using expression pedals with the Casio keyboards, and sometimes some questions have come up about, can it do anything else other than just operate the volume and the expression on the keyboards? Well, no is the straight answer in the keyboards themselves, but with a device like this, you can control other effects within the keyboard. In fact, if we have a look at the box here for the pedal controller, you might be able to see it says it generates MIDI data using an external expression pedal. Programmable data types include control change, aftertouch, pitch bend, and system exclusive messages. Program settings are retained even after power is removed, and accepts all expression pedals with 1/4-inch stereo connections. If any of that means anything to you or nothing at all, then don't worry, I'm going to go through an example of setting this up. I think it would be worthwhile, first of all, though, is just showing you some examples of this in action. And then after that, I'll show you how to set this up with the keyboard. So let's take a closer look at this unit, the pedal controller by MIDI Solutions. It's made out of a tough plastic, and then at one end we've got a MIDI port and a jack port or sockets, and then on the other end is another MIDI socket. So this one here, the jack socket, is for the pedal. So first of all, we'll connect the pedal into the unit like that, and then we've got MIDI in and MIDI out. So first of all, the MIDI out is going to go into the keyboard, and I'll show you how that's going to work in a moment. But first of all, we'll put a cable into the MIDI out socket, and these are 5-pin DIN cables, not USB MIDI. And that goes in there. And then the MIDI in socket. It's similar sort of arrangement, 5-pin DIN into there. And you'll notice as soon as I plug this one in, this light came on. This unit needs to be powered, and I'm powering this from my USB audio interface, which is attached to my computer, but it's not actually doing anything other than just providing power. You can provide power to this through another means. I've got a MIDI through box which also will run power into this, but we just need to make sure there's this red light happening here. There's no other way of powering this unit up other than through MIDI. So that's this settings for and connections for the pedal controller. So I've got the MIDI out from the pedal controller, and we need to find a way of getting this into the keyboard. As you've seen perhaps on some of my other videos, keyboards like the Casio nowadays don't come with 5-pin MIDI. They have USB MIDI. So I'm going to be using this MIDI USB host made by Kenton, which has the right kind of connections that we need for the MIDI. So MIDI out from the pedal controller is going to go to MIDI in on the USB host, like that. And this box requires some power, and I can use a standard kind of phone charger, and then a cable will give us some power into that. So the power connection just goes into the back. And this is flashing because it's not receiving any MIDI from the keyboard. So on the back of the Casio CT-S, we've got a USB-B connector. So I'm going to plug this into the back of the keyboard, and the other end of this is going to go into the USB MIDI host. So I've got everything connected, and there's one more thing we need to do, and that's actually on the keyboard itself. So if we go into the settings menu, you need to make sure that the firmware has been upgraded to version 1.02, and if you've got a CT-S1000V, then it's version 1.06. And then if you go into the settings menu, you want to look for a setting that says MIDI in 1 to 5 channel port, and this port needs to be set to channel A. There are two options, either A or C, and channel A will allow you to access via USB MIDI live effects, if you like, from the keyboard itself. So make sure it's set to port A, and then we're all ready to go. So the next thing to show you is to actually how we program what kind of control changes or any other parameters we want to change with our pedal, and that requires some software on your PC. So once you've installed the MIDI Solutions programming tool onto your PC, you need to select pedal controller, and then it'll open the software. There's really not a lot to see. There's just these menus for File, Edit, Setting, Program and Help, and it's really just a text editor that will help to generate the text that you need to send to the pedal to program it. Let's load one that I've created earlier, and we'll load this one for filter cutoff. And the first message is just an echo. It's a bit like a MIDI through, really. Anything that comes in to the inside of the pedal controller will just go straight out, and it kind of resets everything. And then underneath that is the code or the text that's needed to program the correct control change for control change number 74, which will adjust filter. And then to program the pedal, you click the program menu, and then select whichever MIDI interface you're using. I'm using this Rubik's one, and then you just transmit. And if you happen to be looking at the controller box at the time, it'll flash a couple of times on the front of the pedal just to show that it's receiving the data. And that's it. That's all done. Let's show you how to do one from scratch. So if I go to settings, you can decide whether you want to echo the messages or not. Just click on OK under settings, device parameter, and then for the message type, click on message type, and you've got several options here. You've got control change messages, channel pressure or aftertouch, pitch bend, and system exclusive. Let's keep it simple and we'll just go for control change. Click on control change, and then you've got a long list of control change messages, and you just need to check in the CT-S manual which control changes it will respond to. So for instance, if you want to set chorus, then that is 93. You select that, you say OK. It generates the bytes again, and then just do as before, program the pedal controller, select the MIDI interface and transmit. And then that's all done. If you remember earlier when I was showing you the setting up, I showed you that I was setting it up using the connection from my USB interface, which was providing the power for the pedal controller. One of the reasons was for power, but the other reason was so that I didn't have to keep connecting it and disconnecting it to my PC. So I can just change whichever parameter I want to. Let's open another one. We don't need to save that. So for instance, if we want to control modulation, select modulation, program the pedal, transmit, and that's all done. So as you can see, everything is now set up ready for the pedal controller to control some of the effects within the CT-S. The expression pedal is on the floor, so you can't see that in the shot. But you should be able to hear the effect of me moving the expression pedal back and forth. It's also worth just saying a couple of things. I'm only scratching the surface really here by using a few of the CCs. I haven't got into using any system exclusive messages yet. And the other thing to say is as well is that the CTX keyboard, which is just below here, it doesn't quite work in the same kind of way. I have to connect an external keyboard into the CTX and the pedal controller into that keyboard before I can do any of the kind of things that we're going to do now with the CT-S. But this will give you an example of using an expression pedal other than just for expression. Anyway, I hope that gives you an idea of what you can do with an expression pedal connected into this pedal controller. I'm going to experiment a bit more and see if I can get some other interesting sounds from the keyboard. Obviously, a setup with these two extra boxes adds a bit of cost to the package, but you do get a lot more out of the keyboard, I think, with something like this as well. And it's great to be able to play live, keep my fingers on the keys without having to control some of these knob controllers around the keyboard. It's much more expressive this way. So thanks for watching.